Hey, what's up guys, Jaeky here. Today we're going to be unboxing and reviewing the CIDOO C75. This is another 75% Hall effect keyboard with a very premium build, and this was sent out by CIDOO for review, but as always, that does not affect my opinion of it. So getting straight into it, this board retails for $140 USD, but as of me recording this video right now, it's currently 10% off on their website for $126 USD. So it's actually on the cheaper side considering that it's a Hall effect keyboard and it has a premium build with that aluminum chassis and the pre-loop switches as well. So you can choose between two different colorways on their website. You can choose between the silver color and the black color. And like I mentioned earlier, this is a Hall effect keyboard, so you are getting rapid trigger and customizable actuation points. And the switches inside of here are the Gateron KS20U magnetic switches. This keyboard is hot swappable with magnetic switches, so you can put in Gateron Jades if you'd like. Another big selling point of this keyboard is the fact that it goes up to 8000 Hz polling rate, which is higher than the Wooting 60HE. So if this keyboard is true 8000 Hz polling, then you are getting faster response times compared to traditional 1000 Hz polling keyboards. So in the box, you do get a quick start guide as well as the actual keyboard itself. As you can see here, I have the black version. And like I said earlier, this is a fully aluminum case. This keyboard comes in at just under 2 kilograms, so it is a pretty hefty board and it feels very high quality in the hands. In the box, you also get a braided USB-C cable, pretty nice quality cable here. And you also get a switch and keycap puller, as well as a little small Allen wrench to take apart the keyboard. And here's a close-up of those Gateron switches. Like I mentioned earlier, they are hot swappable with other magnetic switches. As you can see, they come pre-installed south-facing, and that just ensures that you have maximum compatibility with any keycap set. So here's the actual board itself, and you can see here the USB port is on the left side of the board, and on the bottom of the board here, I believe this is a brass weight with a nice design. It looks very sleek with 4 rubber feet as well in the corners. Here's the design of the side of the board, and you have the exact same design on the other side as well. Very clean and nice looking board. And of course, this board is a 75% layout, so you also do get a volume wheel on the top right here. And the volume wheel is actually tensioned very well. The steps are well defined and it's pretty tight enough to the point where you won't accidentally hit it, which I actually really like. All right guys, I just plugged the board in. This is what the default RGB looks like. It looks like you also have a little LED strip here, which is very cool as well. Adds to the overall aesthetic of the board, but this is just what the board looks like with the default RGB on. All right guys, getting into the software here, so you can just download their software from the website. Very easy to install, and this is what it pretty much looks like. I'm gonna go into the settings here and just check for a firmware update. Looks like there isn't any firmware update, so we're good on that. And yeah, let's just get into the settings here. So you can remap any key. So let's say I click on T, you can remap it. You can also do macros as well here. So all of the basic stuff. And let me test the volume wheel really quickly. Yeah, the volume wheel looks like it works. If I press down, it mutes it as well. So the volume wheel is actually working really nice. So yeah, the first tab here looks like this is just to remap keys and add macros and everything like that. The second tab here is what we want to look at. So this is the trigger settings. So just like the Wooting, you can select individual keys to change, or you can just drag and select the entire board if you want to change every single key. So I'm going to enable quick trigger for every single key. And I believe this is their way of saying rapid trigger is quick trigger. So I'm just going to put this on the lowest, which is 0.1 millimeters. I'm just going to apply it here. It looks like it applies to all the keys. And then here you can change the polling rate. I'm going to leave it on 8K. Again, I don't know if this is true 8K polling, and I don't have the tools to test latency. So I'm not sure if this is true 8K polling or not, but you do have the option here. And then key calibration, I'm not going to mess around with any of this. I forgot to mention this board does have onboard memory. So once you set all of these settings, you don't have to actually keep this program open or even on your computer, because everything saves to the onboard memory of the keyboard. So yeah, it looks like here you can create different profiles as well. I'm just going to leave it on the 1. Oh, I see. Okay, so you change the actuation here. So you can see I can slide this dot up and down to change the actuation required. So if I set it on, I'm just going to set it on 1 millimeter, just like my Wooting, but you can change separate actuations just right here. And then the rapid trigger is down here. Okay, and moving on to the third tab here is senior key. So you can do things like mod tap here, just like how you can do it on the Wooting, where if you press a key down like different levels, it can do different actions. So that's very similar to the Wooting. You can do all of that on this keyboard as well. And then the fourth tab here is going to be your RGB settings. Bunch of different effects that you can choose here. We can see wave, twinkle, radar, just a bunch of different effects. And you actually get a real-time visualization on the software here of the effects, which is very cool. Personally, I'm just going to turn the RGB off. Okay, moving on to the 5th tab is your performance tab. So whenever you enable Windows lock, you can disable any of these if you want. You can disable Alt Tab or Alt F4 or the Windows key if you turn on Windows lock, which is similar to like gaming mode basically on gaming keyboards. And then the final 6th tab here is just to set up macros. So yeah, very nice. You can record your macros here and then bind it to any key on the keyboard. Okay, that's pretty much it for the software. Pretty solid. You can pretty much do everything that you need to. If I had one thing to criticize, it would be to actually show a visualization here of which keys have rapid trigger enabled and the actuation on them. So for example, like on the Wooting keyboard, it will show you which keys have which actuation and rapid trigger so that you can actually visually see which keys have which settings. So yeah, hopefully they add that. That would be a nice little quality of life thing that they could add to the software. Okay, moving on to the performance of the board. So one thing that I want to touch on really quickly that I'm just noticing right now while I'm testing the rapid trigger is that there seems to be a dead zone. So it actually is not 0.1 millimeter rapid trigger. So you can see here, I have it set. Every key right now is on 0.1 millimeter for the rapid trigger. And the customizable actuation seems to work as intended. So if I set it to 1 and I'm just lightly pressing the key, it will actuate. And if I set it to 4 and hit apply, then if I'm just lightly actuating it like I was before, it's not going to hit the key. I actually have to bottom out. But the thing is with the rapid trigger, there seems to be a dead zone where I have every key set to 0.1, right? But for example, if I'm holding down the D key here and I just let go slightly, it doesn't stop like it does on my Wooting. So you can see I'm actually lifting the key up right now a lot more than 0.1 millimeters, and the D key is still being actuated. I have to lift it a little bit more to, it's actually pretty noticeable like how much I have to lift it for rapid trigger to actually kick in. So I don't know if this is a bug with the software or what, but I do have rapid trigger enabled here, as you can see on 0.1 millimeters, but it doesn't seem to be working as intended because when I lift my finger off of the key, I have to go up quite a bit before it actually stops inputting. It might be a similar situation to the Razer Huntsman where there seems to be a dead zone. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. It's definitely not as responsive as the Wooting where when you lift off of the key, it instantly stops. But with that being said, even though there is a dead zone, it is still a lot more responsive than a traditional mechanical keyboard, but it's definitely not on the level of something like the Wooting 60HE. And yeah, using it in-game feels fine. It definitely is faster than a traditional keyboard because you are still getting that customizable actuation, and the rapid trigger, even though there is that dead zone, there still is rapid trigger, and that is still going to be a lot faster than your traditional mechanical keyboard. But when compared to something like my Wooting, I feel like my Wooting definitely feels a little bit more snappy, probably because of that dead zone. But yeah, other than that, the keyboard does perform fine in-game. Alright guys, now I'm going to do a little sound test for you guys so that you can hear this keyboard and the prelude switches as well as the aluminum case and what that does for the sound profile. So yeah, let's get into the sound test here. Alright guys, and that was the sound test of the board. Actually very nice sounding keyboard. As you can tell, the keyboard sounds pretty nice and it does sound very premium as well. So yeah, really no complaints about the sound profile of this board. I really like the way that it sounds. So in conclusion, this is definitely one of the cheaper premium Hall effect boards that you can pick up right now on the market. The build quality and sound of this keyboard is very nice. The only issue that this keyboard has is that dead zoning with the rapid trigger, so it isn't true 0.1 millimeters. You do have to lift up on the key noticeably more than you do on the Wooting, so that's definitely something you want to keep in mind if that's an issue for you and you're looking for the absolute best performance. Then you might want to look at some other Hall effect boards. But if you're looking to save some money and you're looking for an entry into a cheaper premium Hall effect board, then the CIDOO 75 is definitely worth taking a look at. But that's pretty much it guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.